I'm Brittany. I'm a licensed elementary school teacher, but right now I'm staying home with my two kiddos, and today we are going to talk about number lines. So number lines are something that you use with kids all the way up through, high school. Now, of course, the number lines get a lot more complicated. You start to get negatives, and number lines turn into XY graphs, and it turns into all sorts of complicated. But when we are teaching young children, we don't need complicated. We need very basic. And so today we're going to talk about a number line that I designed to make counting and addition and subtraction easier with small children. I'm actually using this with my 5-year-old right now. I designed it specifically for small children to help them learn the concept of adding and subtracting. So we're going to go about that today, but if you don't already, you can pause this video and you can go to my website, brittanyperl.com. That's BRITTANYPERL.com, and you can sign up for my newsletter, and you will get an email with links in there, and you'll get this. Now, you obviously won't get this. This is one of my amazing paper protectors from Target, so that you can reuse stuff. I'll talk about these later. They're amazing. But it's just, I have it in here. You'll get this. You'll get this number line. And I created this specifically for people who are on my newsletter list. You can go, you'll get an email link, and you'll download it from Google Drive, and you can print it, and then you can go ahead and look at this with us. So if you want to do that, you can do that now. Okay, so for most children, there is a set order in which children learn to understand that numbers represent actual objects. And that starts with physical objects. So for example, I just took some of our phonics cubes here, but you could use anything. If you said, Donna has 3 apples, and we count 1, 2, 3. And Rick gives her 2 more. Oh, we give her 2 more. 1, 2. How many apples does she have left? And we would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, that's not, you wouldn't go that fast with a small child, but just to give you an idea. Children start with needing actual physical objects to count. But when they move on from there and they understand that we can count, that when we're counting numerals and the words that we use to represent them, the words, the numbers that we speak, they actually represent physical objects. Without having the physical objects there, that's the next step. So understanding when I say 6, that actually means 6. That's represented in this number. When you move past, though, either you don't always go straight from this physical object to this. It helps children to still have a two-dimensional representation. So again, when kids are small, you don't generally want to start them with pictures on a page. I mean, that's a great place to go if you're reading a book and you happen to be counting, but you really, really, really want to practice in everyday life. And I've talked about this in another video. When you're introducing children to counting, you want to make sure that they understand that when we say 1, 2, 3, this means that is 3. That is really 3. So what I've done is I've tried to put an in-between step between counting and going straight from physical objects directly to numbers and words. And what I've done is I've created, I've just put a little stack of circles above each number on the number line. So we started with 0. 0 is actually not a really easy concept for children to understand. It's not even one that we always start out with kids, but I think kids are smarter than we give them credit for. And so kids understand when they eat all their M&Ms, there aren't any left. So again, a way you can practice the concept of 0 is to use it in everyday life. So for 0, I don't have any circles. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So what I've done is I have this little key in the corner here, and not little bitties do not understand numbers, but my daughter's 5 and she's starting to understand, arrows. She's starting to understand directionality. So when we have plus, when we're adding, when we're putting together, it's going to go this way because we're getting bigger. And when we subtract, we go this direction. We're taking away, we're getting smaller. Now I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but that's just what that little key means. So when we get bigger, when we're adding circles, we're making our piles bigger. We're making our numbers bigger. So that's what I've done to help with building that middle step in between having physical objects and using just the numerals. Okay, so really, I mean, you don't need to start with a number line doing addition and subtraction, but what I see from a lot of parents is that they're actually really scared of addition and subtraction. And addition and subtraction don't need to be scary. They really don't. All we're doing in addition is we're adding more. And I tell my daughter that when she first started addition and subtraction, I called it putting together. And I would say, oh, we're adding more, we're putting more together. So if I have 2, and so we, here's 2, 1, 2. If I have 2 and then I put 2 more, we had 2 and now we have 2 more. We put them together. We made it bigger. We gave you more. And if kids don't understand this with cubes, try M&Ms, because kids will do almost anything to get a snack. Kids will understand very quickly if there's more snack or less snack, or their sister got more than they did. Yes, I speak from lots of personal experience. Food is a fantastic motivator. And if you don't want to add extra calories in the day, good grief, do it for their dessert. Say, okay, we're going to do dessert today. We're going to use 10 M&Ms, but you got to earn it. You got to do this with me to get your M&Ms. So so that's just the basic idea behind the circles. Is before we even start addition and subtraction, is every time we go up, we're adding a circle. We're giving it one more. Here's 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then we have the numeral down here. Now, when you're ready to start using addition and subtraction, what you're going to do is there are very set steps to this, and of course, there's not just one right way to teach addition, but if you're going to teach it this way, and it doesn't have to be my way, if you're just using this general philosophy with teaching addition and subtraction, you want to teach your children steps. The reason for this is you want them to be able to repeat these steps on their own without you looking over their shoulder. So even if they look at the question and they do, okay, so say we did 2, shoot, hold on, my pen just died. It's my best pen. We're kind of hitting the end of the end of the line as far as my school supplies that I bought last year are all starting to die. Okay, sorry. Let's see if the pink one works. Blue one is obviously dead. Okay, just a quick note. I like these thin Expo markers for these because the fat ones are harder to color. Let's see if pink works. Oh, pink does work. Okay, good. Pink sometimes doesn't work. Say we're doing 2, that kind of works, plus 3. Now what I always do with my daughter, and again, she's 5, we started this when she was 4, we took a break and we're back now that she's 5, is I always have her read it with me. We say 2 plus, or put together, and I will often use both. I'll say plus or put together so that she knows we mean the same thing. Plus is the correct terminology. Put together is the concept. So adding more, plus, whatever helps your child understand that you're making it bigger, that you're adding to it, do that. But I would use the plus in the terminology so that as they get older, they're not having to learn new terminology. It's already there. So I have her actually read with me, 2 plus 3 equals, we don't know, and we will say that together. Now your child does need to understand written numerals, at least have some of them recognizable. They need to recognize Roman numerals before you're able to start this in a written form. You can always do it verbally. You can always say, 2, and then I give you 2, 3, and then I give you 2 more, 3, and 2 more is, you can always do that. But if you're doing it this way and you're actually teaching them to read and write number sentences, you want to get in that correct terminology from a young age. Kids can get this stuff. We just have to give them credit. And no, they might not always understand exactly what it means the first time, but if they already know what it means, or they already know the correct terminology, the meaning can come later. We just want to teach them the right terminology from a young age. So we read the number sentence and I say, okay, we always start with this one. This is our first one. Now, yes, I know that there is the communicative property of addition where you can switch them around. We're not worried about that right now. Right now we're giving them steps. So I say, okay, where's the number that we start with? And my daughter will point here because we always start at the beginning. And I'll say, okay, Mark, what is that number? And she'll say 2. And I will say, okay, mark it. So I want her to come and I want her to draw a little dot around 2, just so we know where to begin, because young children often will, their eyes wander, their hands wander. It's normal. So we want to give them a starting point. Okay, so we have 2. How many are we adding? She'll say 3. I say, okay. Now there are 2 ways that I do this. One is, and I make her do both, by the way. I make her do both. And that's so that she checks her answer. It helps really nail down the reason why we're doing this, and it makes sure that she knows she needs to check her answer. She can't just throw out any number. She has to make sure they match. So there are 2 ways to do this. The first one is called the bouncing method. This is the number we start on. This is how many bounces we make. So we're going to start at 2. How many bounces? 3 bounces. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, circle your answer, and I always have her circle it so we don't get lost. And I'll say, okay, go ahead and write that down so we don't forget it. So she'll write number 5. And again, these steps are very important because it's going to teach your child what steps to take if they don't know how to get the answer. Yes, when they get older, they'll automatically know that 2 plus 3 is 5. But when they're little, you're still teaching them the concepts. And the concepts, these concepts are the same things we're going to stay with through, 12th grade. They're still going to be using these basic concepts in 12th grade. So you want to teach them that there is a reliable method of getting an answer. We don't just throw answers out in math and hope they're right. There is a correct answer. It's not like English where it can be subjective. Math is always objective. Okay, so we get 5. Okay, we're going to double check that now. And this is, my daughter actually, she started bouncing first, but when she was first starting this, she preferred the coloring method, the dot method. So we would say, okay, we started at 2. Color in your dots. She would color 1, 2. And again, this is why the thin markers work best. Of course, my marker decided not to work today. That's supposed to be colored in. Good grief. All my markers are dying. Okay, pretend that's colored. See if I can get my other blue one to work. Marker number 3 is a charm. There we go. Okay, so we colored 1, 2, and what's the other number? 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I want you to count those. Make sure they match this number. If we count them together, what is our answer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do they match? 5 and 5. Yes, they do. So we know we have the right answer. And then we will read back the number sentence one more time. 2 plus 3 equals 5. And so that's how we, sorry, my arm is getting tired. That's how we started. And that's just your basic addition. Now let's go ahead and try subtraction. Now subtraction, I did not start until she had done reasonably well with addition, because you don't want to overwhelm them. The reason, however, that I like to teach addition and subtraction together, as in not at separate parts of the year if I can help it, is because they're essentially the same thing. We're just going forwards and backwards. So once she understands forwards, I want to take her backwards now. I want her to understand that if you can add, you can also take away. Okay, so let's do, now I'm using the smaller numbers because, when kids are first starting out, they don't need to be using the bigger numbers. You want to stay, when I first began this, the very first time, I stayed at 1 through 3. We didn't go very far. Now, something I talked with, when we first started with this, we talked though about you can always add more. It doesn't matter if the first number is bigger or smaller, you can, always add more. Now, I call subtraction takeaway. So if I said, let's say 6 minus 4. Okay, so I said we're starting out with 6. And I actually did this with physical objects first because, again, I wanted her to understand what we're doing in the real world, what the numbers represent. So I said, okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had her count out 6. And I said, this sign is the opposite. This is putting together. This is taking away or taking apart. So I had 6, and I'm going to take away 1, 2, 3, 4. Take them away. How many are left? So, and then we talked about, when we first started, is the pile bigger or smaller? And she said bigger. And I said, oh, what about when I took away, the 4? She said smaller. Okay. So before you begin this, you really want to again discuss the concepts of how does this apply to the real world? And again, if you can't get it using learning cubes, use M&Ms or whatever food your child likes, because they're gonna get it. If I eat 3 M&Ms, my pile is smaller, and my brother, who still has 6, his pile is bigger, and we're gonna notice that. My 2-year-old if he looks at candy, he wants his sister's too, not just his own. Okay, so, and then I went, and again, this is where this key comes in. I talked about when we put more together, we're always adding 1. We're going this way because we're getting bigger. When we're taking apart, we're going to go the other way because we're taking away. So here's 10. We take away a circle. Oh, same as 9. When we're at 9, we take away a circle. Oh, same as 8. So we're taking away circles and we're getting smaller. We're going in the opposite direction. So if I gave her a number sentence, again, we're going to start reading the number problem. 6 minus 4 equals, and again, I will do the same thing. I'll say 6 minus or take away, so that she understands what we're doing and what the correct terminology is. Now, once they understand what we're actually doing, you can get rid of that extra terminology, so the takeaway. With my daughter, I no longer say 6 put together 3. I just say 6 plus 3, just 6 plus 3, or 2 plus 3. I can't read today. 2 plus 3. But when you're first starting, that's when it's important to really nail these concepts. As they get further along, they don't need to say take away 3. They can just say minus. But we'll read it with both minus and take away to hit that basic terminology and to make sure they understand the concept. Okay, so same thing as last time. I say, okay, what number are we going to start on? And she'll say 6. So I say, okay, go mark 6. So she'll mark it. And I'll say, do you want to do the ball method or the bouncing? And let's do the ball method this time just to mix it up. So say she does ball. So I'm going to say, okay, color in all 6. We'll count 1. And I make her count these balls out loud, by the way. I don't let her do it in her head. I want to hear that she's doing the right thing first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is just cementing those numbers in our head. More practice. Okay, we're going to take away how many? 4. So let's take away 4. So we're going to wipe away 1, 2, 3, 4. How many are left? And she'll count, say 1, 2. And I'll say, okay, write down 2. We'll write down 2. I'll say, okay. And again, you need to make sure your child has a basic understanding of numbers and how to write the numbers before you begin this. Ooh, my hand's cramping up. Okay, so we'll say, okay, now let's double check with the bounce method. So remember, we're going to go the opposite way when we bounce this time. So how many bounces will we have? 4. We're going to start at 6 and do 4 bounces left. So, and again, when you start this with your child, they are going to need you to do it with them. Don't do it once and expect them to get it. You are going to be doing this with them for quite a while. When they start to come up with the answers on their own and they get impatient, then yeah, see if they can do it on their own. But when you first start, you want to do it with them. Okay, so we're going to do 4 bounces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, circle that number. Does that match our answer? 2, 2. It does. Yay! So let's read the number sentence together now. 6 minus 4 equals 2. And literally, it's as easy as that. And again, if your child really still needs those physical objects, feel free to, to put them in. It's the same thing as circles. We have 6. We took away 1, 2, 3, 4. How many are left? Don't be afraid to give your child, multiple ways of seeing a problem. Honestly, that's something that I think a lot of public school textbooks lack. A lot of textbooks, I'd say, that I've seen, at least, the worksheets and stuff, is they try to show it in multiple ways. But it's much harder to learn that from a worksheet. And this is one of the advantages of homeschooling, is you can do it one-on-one with your child. I've said it before, I have a friend who thought her child was going to be getting 8 hours of attention from a teacher when he went to school. No, your child is not getting 8 hours of attention from a teacher unless you've got a private school with a teeny tiny little class. Your student is sharing that teacher with, say 22, 23 other students. Which, if you do the math, good golly, your kid might get 3 or 4 minutes from the teacher per hour. If they're not exceptionally poorly behaved or they don't need exceptional help. So anyways, that's one of the benefits of being a homeschool family, is you can spend the time doing this with them one-on-one. Now, you can start to drop some of these steps as they get better, but you want to make sure first that they know what they're doing, before you start dropping those. And if this is too hard, take a break. Go back and focus on those numbers. Focus on, don't call it addition and subtraction, because it's really not. You don't have to call it. It is addition and subtraction, but you don't have to call it that. If you're doing, we have 2, we get 2 more. How many is that? Yes, that's addition, but you can just play with it as a game. You don't have to tell them we're going to do addition. Okay, so again, you can get that for free on my website. If you go and sign up at BrittanyPearl.com, get a free printout of that. You'll also get other free stuff, which I will talk about at another time. This is really just a tool that I made up. I made it originally for my daughter. I was trying to find a way to do a number line that was a little easier for her to understand than just with the bounces. I wanted something that had that in-between step. And obviously mine is not the only way to, to teach addition and subtraction, but to me, it combined multiple techniques that I've seen done in classrooms and that I was taught in college. So that is something that I created. Again, it's not something you have to use, but I think it's helpful. I use it with my daughter, and I hope that it helps you too. It's free. Another little piece that you don't have to buy, you don't have to spend money on. Excuse me, my microphone cords are sticking out. Anyway, so I hope this was helpful. Please like this video and subscribe if you think that it's going to be helpful to you. Share it with other friends who may be feeling a little overwhelmed with things the way they are right now, quarantine life. Hopefully we'll get out to start to do more stuff soon. I will be doing more videos in the future. As always, please leave comments on the video on YouTube. You can ask me questions on my website. I have a blog post for every video. You can email me at brittany.pearl, that's P-E-R-L, .teach@gmail.com. And I would love to get to know you and would love to know how I can help you in the future. I've got lots of videos to make, and I'm really excited to hear the things that you guys need help with. So make sure to connect with me somehow. All right, I hope you have a fantastic day and keep counting on.